Welcome to the Principles Gallery, helping you to bridge the gap between God's design and our behavior. Today's principle is learning to respond to action rather than react to motive. Now, as many times in the past, in order to fully understand this, I hope you'll go back and watch the previous principles videos specifically on responding versus reactions so you can understand what that's about. But responding to action, what do I mean by that, rather than reacting to motive? Oftentimes when somebody does something or says something that's hurtful to us, the real hurt isn't the action itself, but our perception of the person's motive. It could be something as simple as this. Suppose that I'm standing behind a door and you don't know that I'm there, and you come rushing through and the door flies open and it hits me in the head. That's going to hurt, right? But let's say that you're mad at me for something and you know this is a dangerous spot in the door, and you wait there waiting for me to get there, and when you know that I'm there, you throw the door open and it hits me in the head. Both of those physically will hurt the same, but what compounds that hurt is if I have the belief that you did that on purpose, that your motive was that you wanted to hurt me intentionally, or that you were doing something, or maybe that you were just being careless or whatever, and you didn't think about what could happen. So that intensifies the pain. Here's the problem with that in reacting to motive. First is that most of the time, I don't know about you, I don't know myself why I do what I do. In the earlier videos when we talked about responding according to what I know versus what I feel, and then responding versus reacting, we talk about the fact that oftentimes we have these emotional macros, and it causes a whole set of emotions to go, and we do things like an autopilot. It's emotional macros that just sets off this whole list of feelings and then actions that we don't even know why. So sometimes it's just something that somebody says or a look, and we don't even know, but we will behave in a certain way. And also conditions of life that cause us to behave just in conditioning and programming. And so we don't know why we've done it ourselves. Secondly, the problem with motive is that if you react to motive is that you cannot prove or disprove motive. So that you come through that door and it hits me in the head and I say to you, you did that on purpose. You were trying to get back at me for yesterday. You could say, no, I didn't. I didn't even know that you were there. Now, I can't prove that you did it on purpose, and you couldn't prove that you didn't. You cannot prove or disprove motive. And so you're not very often going to come out okay. Now, you could be completely right about somebody's motive, but what I'm telling you is that in wisdom, you're not going to come out good by reacting to motive. You'll only come out right by responding to action. And oftentimes, if you respond to action, if you take the motive out of it, then it requires no response at all. Many behaviors are benign in and of themselves until you add motive to it. Now, I want to encourage you to do something. Next time you're at work or out just watching people, you watch and observe people and see how often, and even think about yourself, how often, most of the time, we react to our perception of somebody's motive, not the action, but why we believe that they did that. The way we relate to people, the way we interact with people, most of the time is based on our perception of their motive. And you will not come out good reacting to motive. You must respond to the action, and many times that means that there's no response required at all, because you take the motive out of it, then the action itself doesn't mean anything. It's benign. So here's the wisdom. Next time somebody says or does something that can be taken more than one way, and one way is hurtful and one way is not, choose the good way. See, we're the ones that have control over that. We're the ones that get to decide whether that motive was good or bad, and just to respond to the action. So choose the good way. Who cares if they had a bad motive? If you choose the good way, you're going to come out okay. It's going to diminish that hurt that you feel, and it'll all come out in the wash. Trust me. I'm not saying that motive is irrelevant and it's not important, but I can't assess the motive in somebody else. David prayed, God, search me and see if there's any wicked way in me. So we can look at our own motive. God can search us and judge our motive, but we cannot assess the motives of others. So the wisdom is respond to action rather than react to motive. I'm Pastor Sam Lewis for Living That Matters Principles Gallery.